Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. Sorry about the being 7 minutes late tonight. We just had a little bit of technical difficulty. We got it all straightened out, and we are ready to go. My name is Dan Hunt. I am the master distributor for USI-TECH here in North America. And tonight, we are going to talk about two incredible products. Products that could possibly change your financial future. Tonight I have a special guest with me, Professor David Frost. And before we get Professor Frost into the program, I'm going to start out by asking the question, why? Why? Professor Frost, why do you do this? Why do you use this product? Why do you teach this product? What is going on with this product that you use this product? And what is your why for this product?
Well, I'll tell you, Dan, it is a great question. And the reason why, actually, I had a conversation today. For one, rarely do you find something that works as good as promised. But two, I was sitting down with another professor, and they were concerned. They've been working for 20 years at the college, and they're saying, I don't know that I really have enough money to retire. What should I do? That's why I was able to introduce him to this, and he looked at it and said, really, could this be true? And I said, why don't you check it out? Why don't you just put simply a little bit, $100 in, and find out yourself? I love that about this company.
So, you and I sit and we theorize quite a bit, and we talk about different things. And one of the passions, I think, that you have as well as myself is that passion to get people into financial freedom, to get people to have the opportunity to be able to retire earlier than what the 30-30 plan is. And that's the next thing that I really, really want to talk about. But before we bring the next question up, which is what if, let's talk about getting to that retirement a little bit earlier and how important that could be to somebody's family. Yeah,
certainly. For one, the big issue is, how do you retire when you're 60, 65? That's a huge issue today.
Right.
But that aside, how do you retire? Like when I say to a student, what if you could retire when you're 30 or 35? Is that possible? They say, no, I've been trained that is not true. I say, why don't you take a look and see? What if you're wrong? What if what people are telling you are wrong? What if you could retire at 30, 35? I'm not saying you should, but I know that when you go to work, and if you could retire, work is a lot more fun.
Okay, well, let's go to what if. And let me just put a scenario up on the screen for people. And it's just three little things. If you could do these three things, then you might be able to retire a little bit earlier. The first thing that you need to do is start with an account with just $5,000. So if you got $5,000 put away someplace, you need to start with a $5,000 account today. The second thing that you need to do is find a vehicle that can average about 4.5% a month. Find a vehicle, an investment, a tool that you can put your money, a place that you can put your money that will average a return of about 4.5% a month. And the third thing you have to do is invest in your own future. Instead of going to Starbucks, instead of going out and having that extra cigarette or whatever it is that your vice is, you take $100 a month and you invest in your future. Well, if you could do those three things, just those three little things, at the end of 10 short years, you would have $1.4 million. I know that because it says it right there. So, Professor Frost, tell me about how important saving for yourself and finding that vehicle and starting with a little bit of money is right now.
Sure. If you don't check into things like this, and we're not saying we're the only answer on the block, go do your research. Prove to yourself what we're saying is true. Because here's what we know for sure. You're in trouble right now if you're the average American. So do a little research, check it out, because if this is true, it's a game changer. And I think it's worth your time to do that.
And you know what? Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to show you not one, but two options that USI-TECH offers, that both of these options perform at better than that 4.5% a month. So what I'd like to do is talk about these two new products right now, the brand new BTC package, and we're going to get to that in just a few minutes, and the Forex algorithm, the EA algorithm. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the company first. I need the other slide. If I could, please. I'd like to talk a little bit about the company first. And USI-TECH is a technology company. They've been around for about 12 years now. They specialize in the development of automated trading software, primarily in the Forex market. But we do have this Bitcoin product as well. Now I think I'm going to talk to you about the software license. And this we call our EA software or our EA algorithm. Different people want to call it different things. That algo is something that a lot of people talk about. This is a lifetime software license. Okay, so you buy this once, just once, you buy this product, and then you have a lifetime software license. It comes with continuous upgrades, lifetime upgrades, so as we improve the software, as the market changes, our software continues to be upgraded. And with this software, anybody can trade in the highly complex Forex market with incredible results. I want to talk a little bit about the Forex market right now. And the Forex market trades about $5 trillion a day. Professor Frost, talk to me about $5 trillion and how that relates to the other three stock markets combined.
Certainly. $5 trillion obviously is a lot of money. But it's more money running through the Forex every single day than all other indexes combined. If you add up Tokyo, America, all across the world, it is by far the largest. Why is that a big deal? It's liquid. It means your money is liquid. One other thing I want to touch base on that you mentioned earlier, Dan, those upgrades. You and I know we've looked at these companies, for this company in particular for the last 8 years, we've looked at their trades. We found out before their first and second upgrade, their drawdown, which means the most that they would be down at any given time, was closer to 15, 20%. Now,
right,
as they tweak it, they get better and better. Now I notice our drawdown is between 5 and 10%. Those are the upgrades that are important that you understand. We're in a huge market, a global market, and the Forex is by far the biggest and allows us these tweaks that are necessary to continue to bring a better and better product to us.
Now, I also want to talk about the trading software in the Forex market because one of the questions that's asked of me all the time is the Forex market, man, that's really risky. I hear that's risky. It's really volatile. There's a lot of up and downs. And one of the things that I really love about this software is that there's no real increased risk in extraordinary market conditions. And why is that, Professor Frost? Let's talk about why is that.
Sure, and let's explain what an extraordinary market condition is. It's when the market moves more than it has in the past in any given period of time. And we see that, I think on the next slide, you have the one where Trump got elected. That was an extraordinary market condition. Many investors lost a lot of money that day because it was an extraordinary market condition. What we like about this algorithm, what I particularly like about this algorithm, is it really pits one trade against the other. So you can see the one on the left. They were wanting it to drop or to go down. The one on the right, go up. So as they work against each other, it's those two trades that create the profit, not the trade in the market that moves extremely extraordinary or very high or very low. So that market volatility does not affect this company or USI's trades because they take it and make it stable by creating two trades that they pit against each other.
Now, the next question that people always ask is how much money does this thing really make? What does 4.5% really look like? And to answer that question, David, you and I put together a live example of a MetaTrader 4 account. When I say a live example, this slide that I'm going to show you is someone's actual account that let us go in and look at his account and let us print reports off this account. So let's put that up on the screen right now, and I show you that I grayed out his name there, I grayed out his account number, but the first thing that I want to show you is that this account opened in June of 2016, and the account opened for $100,000. Now, don't get excited and say, oh my God, I don't have $100,000. Relax. You can open a Forex account with us or with USI-TECH for as little as $1,000. Okay? $1,000 is the minimum amount that you can open up an account for. Now, this report is about 15 pages long, so I'm going to skip all the way down to the bottom of the report, and you can see, and I personally ran this report and printed it out, and that was done in January 12th of 2017. This is 6.5 months of data of this report that we're looking at. And if you can look at the other side, in 6.5 months, back one, please. Well, we can leave it there. It's 6.5, go ahead, go back if you can. One more back. One more back. In 6.5 months, this made over $22,000. And you want to catch up to me there, hit the button twice for me and catch up to me. There you go. Okay, so Patty's running the controls for just the second time ever, and she'll get there. Go ahead, let's go on to the next slide for me real quick. This is the summary section, and you can see that is the profit on the closed trades over this period of time. And then the next number she's going to show us is the number of trades that were done on this person's behalf. This software made over 7,000 trades on her behalf, a little more than 1,000 trades a month. Now, there is an open balance there of a couple $100. What that means is, and that's called the floating P&L. Those are the open trades. When I ran this report, these are the trades that are actually working in the market right now. And if we bring up that last number, you can see that this account made $27,930. $27,930 over that time, a little more than 4.5%. So, Professor Frost, is this normal in an investment vehicle to make 4.5% a month on average?
I'll tell you, it is not normal. But specifically, I want to make sure these guys understand, when we were checking this company out, we were checking all of these brokerage statements. The reason they were $100,000 or more, and a lot of people with a lot of money know that there's people that do this kind of money, but those of us who just have 1,000 or two, we usually are not able to access this. So up until last year, this company only had large accounts because they only worked with people with over $100,000. What's significant is now we're bringing their program to all of us who want to risk $1,000, $2,000 to make sure that it works.
Well, this program is just astronomical. It works really, really well. I call it the little train that could, because it just keeps turning money every single month, every single day. There's always a whole bunch of trades. I mean, you and I were looking at your personal account earlier today, and I think you have something like 60 trades open right now. So it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. And that brings up the next question that makes this a little bit different than some of the other products that are out there. And that is that this software works on cycles. Now go back, please. This software works on, no, two shot. There we go. Okay, this software works on cycles. And Professor, let's talk about what that really means and what it means to the customer when something's working on cycles.
Certainly, because it is different than a normal investment opportunity that you're used to seeing. What this company does is unique is when they go into the market, like the Forex market, they are after that 3, 4, 5, 6% profit. Right. And that cycle means it closes. So when it hits that percent that they're looking for, it closes. It could take 50 days. It could take 60 days. It could take 30 days. But the point is it closes, so you could withdraw all your money at that point, capture the profit, or you could reinvest in the next cycle.
Okay, and how often do those cycles run again?
They vary, but I think the shortest cycle we have seen in their history is
15 days, I think.
15 days. Was it 15 days? So it's an unusually short cycle, but it seems like they're averaging somewhere between 30 and 50 days.
Exactly. So that is what our EA program, our EA software program is. It's €600. It's a one-time fee. There's no monthly. It's not a monthly thing that you keep paying the company over and over and over. It's a one-time fee for €600. That's about $655 US. It just keeps working. If you want more information about that product, please reach out to the person that invited you to this broadcast tonight, or always you can reach out to us on our Facebook page and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Now, Professor Frost, we're going to talk about something brand new here called the BTC package. And the BTC package lets you participate in the incredible profit of Bitcoin mining. So before we go on, let's talk a little bit about how revolutionary this product is. This Bitcoin mining and how well it's working. It's something, a concept that's completely new and different. So let's talk a little bit about that first.
Yeah, so if you go out and talk to the average person on the street, they don't know what Bitcoin is, particularly in the marketplace in America. But we believe, as most experts do, that it is the money of the future. It's where we keep money that is not, I guess most of it feels like it's a little safer. It's not regulated by any particular government, any particular agency. So it's really monitored by those of us who have the money in the system.
Right. Okay, so this BTC package now, and again, before we get into it, it's kind of a revolutionary concept. And when it was first introduced to us, we were like, wait a minute, that didn't make a lot of sense. So let's talk about how this thing works before we start going into these slides. A BTC package is a thing that you invest in, correct?
Right. It's something that you're purchasing. And just like anything, once you purchase a product at the store, you own the product, but you don't have the money.
Exactly.
So what you're hoping is you get money back or a return of some sort on your product that you purchased. And that's exactly the model these guys have decided to use.
Great. So now let's go into the slides and talk about how this works. I want to start out by saying, first of all, that this product works with Bitcoin only. So you must buy the product in Bitcoin, and your returns are going to come back in Bitcoin as well. So one BTC package always costs 50 euro, okay? Always cost 50 euro. Also, you must buy it in Bitcoin, like I just said. It is a Bitcoin product, so the money goes in Bitcoin and comes out in Bitcoin. Now, each package has a shelf life or a life of 140 market days. What that means is a little bit more than 6 months. It's about a week and a half more than 6 months, okay? So what happens over that 140 days is this product goes out in our process, and it actually works mining other Bitcoin. And you receive a return of capital of an average of 1% a day, every single day for 140 days. What that works out to is you get a return back of 140%. That 140% means that you got your 50 euro back if you bought one package, and you have a 40% return over that time. Professor Frost, is this something that makes sense to you?
It didn't at first. You got to remember, I've invested for 15 years. I'm not used to buying something and not having my money there. You think, well, it's not working for me. But it works for me because what I see is every day I go check, and I'm averaging just about 1% a day. So I know that I'm going to get my 100% back at some point, usually in about 100 days. And then the next 40, I'll make my 40% profit. I like the system. It's working well for me. It's working well for the students that are doing this as well.
Now, you mentioned something there that I think is really important. I think we should talk about for a second here. And that is that you get that return of capital, that 1%, every single day. It goes into your back office in Bitcoin. And why did they do something like that? Instead of just giving it to you all at the end. What do you think the process behind that is?
Yeah, I tell you what, it really works well for us because when you reinvest, if you think about it, in 50 days, you're going to make roughly 50 euro back in Bitcoin. You can reinvest that as well, which we'll call compound interest that we'll talk about in the future. So you actually could, in theory, have more of a return than the 40%.
Right. So we're going to get into compounding in just a minute. But before we do that, let me show you an example of how it works to kind of like put it in layman's terms. In this example, I'm going to say that you buy 20 BTC packages for 1,000 euro. That's real easy. 20 BTC packages for 1,000 euro, okay? Now, you have those packages. They go to work in the marketplace for 140 working days, just over 6 months. After those 140 working days, if you hadn't touched it, you'll have 1,400 euro, okay, or a 40% return. The 1,000 euro you put in and another 400 euro as profit. Okay? Now, this is an example used for demonstration purposes, and those numbers are averages. Why are the numbers averages? Can we talk about that for a second?
Certainly, because they don't get exactly 1% every day. I've noticed, as you have in our back office, we can see that some days it's 0.6%, 0.7%. I think today was like 1.8% or 7%, something like that. So it averages, and actually it doesn't necessarily last 140 days. It could last 130 days because they shut it off when it equals 140%.
Exactly, exactly. So it's not a guarantee that you're going to get that 40% return, but it's going to keep running until it creates that 140%. Now,
and go
ahead.
I'm just saying, so far in the 2 cycles that have happened over the last 2 years, we've seen it makes about 140% in around 140 days. Correct.
Now I want to talk about something you mentioned a few seconds ago called compounding, or the compounding effect. This is something that if you want to really understand compounding, you could go on Google, look it up. There's plenty of videos that kind of explain compounding and explain how it works. But Professor Frost, compounding really works in the bank's favor a lot, especially when you buy a car. It's really working in the bank's favor, or whoever gave you that loan, in the compounding. Can you just try to, in layman's terms for a second, explain to us a little bit about compounding?
Well, I tell you where I find it to be the easiest. Most people have credit cards. The credit card company wants you to pay the smallest amount possible each month, usually around 1% of the balance you owe. Why? Because they like the compound interest. They don't want you to pay it off every month. They want to have the debt accumulate and create more debt, in other words, interest on your debt from last month. So that's the reverse of what we're doing. We want to create interest on our profit from last month. They want to create interest on your debt from last month.
Okay, now we're going to apply that, and we're going to reverse it. We're going to turn it around here, and we're going to reverse it and have that compounding effect work in your favor. So let's talk about why it works in your favor here.
Certainly. So now let's suppose you start with, I'm going to use an even number like 100 euro. So you bought 2 packages for 100 euro. Now, if that's true and you're making 1% a day, in 50 days, you're going to have 50 euro. You can reinvest and get that back in. So now you have 3 packages. The 140 days is not complete, but now your 3rd package, which is 50 euro, will start accumulating interest as well, or 1% a day on average.
Right.
So that's what compound interest does for your account.
Let me show the people an example right now of the compounding effect and how it works within this program. I'm going to use the same example that I had a little while ago, and that's 1,000 euro with 20 BTC packages. Okay? So you spent 1,000 euro and you bought 20 BTC packages. On day 1, you have 20 packages for 1,000 euro. What happens after that first 140 days? 6 months later, on day 140, you have 78 packages, and the value of those packages is 2,554 euro. Now hold on to your seats, because right now I'm going to hit this button, or Patty's going to hit this button, and it's going to show you what happens after 1 year. 1 year later, you have 126 packages, and that is now worth 5,047 euro. That just seems incredible that you've done over 5 times your money in just 1 year. It really does work for you, doesn't it, Professor?
It certainly does. Compound interest is something that if you don't understand it, you should.
That's right. Now, the next question that people usually ask me is, how do I get them and how many can I get? There are purchase limits to buying BTC packages. In any one day, you can only buy 200 packages. In a week, 400. In a month, you're only allowed to buy 500. But the maximum you can own is unlimited at this time. Now, that could change down the road. But you could just keep accumulating and accumulating and accumulating. So this is a great program. I know that it's a little bit different. It's something that we had to take some time to get our heads around. Professor Frost, talk to me about, why this product is so special.
Well, what makes it special, certainly in my world, is, I teach at a college with students who don't have much money. All I want them to do is try it. There's 1,000 questions that if you guys are listening, those of you out there listening, you don't know the answer to. You haven't done the research, you haven't investigated the owners, you haven't done anything to know, could this be true? I ask them, you know what, let's do investigate, but would you be willing to risk $108 to try it? In other words, put the money in there, see if it works 1% a day. After a week or two and you see that you're up 10, 12%, in that time, you can be investigating, checking it out, seeing, does this really work? Because in the end, what you really care about is, does it have any type of return on the money that you put in?
And, the other thing that we really love about this is that you can get started with as little as, $55 or so. And right. There's no extra cost. You don't have to keep paying every month. So we put together another what-if scenario. Let's take a look at this what-if scenario. And what if you started with 2 Bitcoin packages for about $100 today? What if you did that? What if you started with just 2 packages for about $100 today? In just 1 year, those 2 packages would have grown to 10 packages and would have a value of almost $500. But what if you left it there for 5 years? What if you just said, you know what, I'm going to leave that $100, I'm going to pretend that I just spend it at a party or at Starbucks or whatever, and you left it there for 5 years. Look what happens after just 5 years. You'd have 2,000 BTC packages with a value of over $120,000. And again, that just seems very, very unlikely. Professor, do you really believe that this is going to work?
You know what? None of us control that. Here's how we decided. Dan and I decided this. Here's what I do under my own. I did the research, but here's what you got to find out. Yes, in the past, they've done this. Every year, we look at that. We've had 8 years of research. This Bitcoin has roughly 1 year of research. And what we say is you should never invest money that you can not afford to lose.
Correct.
But if $100, if you could risk that, try it. See what's going to happen 2, 3, 4 years from now. We don't control. We don't know. But if it works, we've hit a home run. If it doesn't and we lose $100, that's not going to affect your future. So I think, for my opinion, yes, we've done all the research. Yes, we've found these guys to be very legitimate. Their track record should speak for itself. But what happens in the future? Let's try it. Let's find out. Let's throw $100 at it, $200, whatever it is that you can afford to risk, and see what happens.
And Professor, that leads me to my last question of the night. And that is, if anything that we have said tonight, if anything we've talked about with the EA software, with the BTC packages makes sense to you, don't you think you should take a look? Don't you think you should just take a minute and take a look? And I know this is like one of the things that you say to your students all the time. If anything that we're saying is true, don't you think you should take the time and maybe $100 and take a look and see what it's like? Professor, any last words on that?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, here's what you're going to hear most from everyone. I hear this from students, I hear it from friends, is, well, that sounds too good to be true. Are you sure? And here's my answer to everyone that says that now. If it sounds too good to be true, investigate. It's that simple.
Professor Frost, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We truly appreciate your time and efforts and what you do for not only the field of USI-TECH, but your students as well. We truly appreciate all your time. Now, for those of you that are watching, you can always find us on Facebook. Our broadcast that we're doing tonight is actually simulcast on Facebook Live. It's also on live stream, and you can also see it in our website on the page that says live broadcast, which is USI-USA.com. Once you're on Facebook, it's really important that you click that you like us. We love it when you like us. We also love it when you join our mailing list. And right at the top, you can sign up here. It says join our mailing list, and you can get into that mailing list, and we would be happy to let you know when we're going to be doing broadcast and that type of thing. For those of you that are already in USI-TECH, we will be doing 2 I'm sorry, we will not be doing any broadcast this Sunday, as it is Easter Sunday. So we'll be back doing a product overview on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Again, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I truly appreciate your time. For my wife, Patty Hunt, for Professor David Frost, I'm Dan Hunt. Have a wonderful rest of tonight and an even better day tomorrow.